Okay, I have with me Jen Cox. She is a student in the novice to expert course, and she's got a wonderful little dog named Wulfie who has some interesting behaviors, and she's gracious enough to let me take a look at a video she shared and talk with her about it and share it with others. And so you are lucky to be here. So here we go. Okay, so to give a little bit of background for people that haven't seen Jen's story before, she has a single 5-month-old-ish Maremma pup who can be pretty bouncy and use his mouth a lot, and she has a lot of the same questions about him that lots of people have about adolescent dogs, and I have not seen this video in front of us. So what I'm going to do here is take a read on the body language that I see and maybe a little bit of coaching with Jen, but understanding body language is very important to be able to change the direction a dog would go on his own before he falls apart and has his feet up and his mouth up and whatnot. So here we go. We'll see what we find. Like I said, I haven't seen this. So I'm going to play this until I see a dog. Okay, there we have a dog. So this guy has a history of chewing on Jen's hands and being pretty mouthy, as pups do. She's done a lot of reinforcement with him for manning, as you see, and for hand target. Sometimes he can take a treat really politely, and sometimes he's got a lot of a shark mouth going. So we've talked in the past, after this video, about treat delivery. I like to treat shark mouth dogs by dropping it on the ground in front of him or tossing it to the left or to the right, and that requires some planning about the kind of treat that you're using and the environment and whatnot. But oftentimes with a busy dog, treating by hand rinds them up some more. What she did just before this that you saw, though, is hand that treat to him at chest height, which really helps him keep his feet on the ground, and it kept his brain together enough to then man for her. So she's had 2 behaviors now that she can reinforce without something falling apart in between, which is great. It builds some consistency and some confidence for Wulfie and for her. So she's got a long line on this guy because he has a history of sort of falling apart on these walks, and she sometimes needs to take a wrap around a post or a tree and take a time out. So this dog is doing a couple of things. And to qualify this situation from my perspective, first of all, I'm coming in here as the expert and looking at what I see on this video, but behavior is contextual. And I can't know what his day was like before or what Jen was doing with him before. So what I see is a dog that is quickly needy. He's asking for social connection. He may be more subtly asking for more ability to go own property, but he's really putting it all on Jen here. And look at how tall that dog is. And she's got bare arms and bare legs, and she's got hands that she needs. And sometimes you can do training with the dog, and sometimes it's triage, and you realize that you're kind of up to your ears in alligators. And if you can learn from it, you can do it differently later. But in the circumstance she has right here, she has to keep her eyes on that dog and keep her hands on him and keep herself safe, because he can hurt her. He's a pup, but he can hurt her whether he wants to or not. So right, she's doing right in front of us right now is a little bit of triage. He's tense. That slow tail wag, that kind of stiff body. That is a dog. So let's see. Give me a minute, Jen, and you know how well I do this, so hang on here. But I want to show you something that we haven't talked about yet, and you haven't encountered in the course yet, I don't think. Speak. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to show you something different. This is canine ladder of regression. Have you ever seen this?
Nope.
This is the coolest thing. There are a lot of different graphics done of it out there, but I'll put in the text, the credit to the person that designed it. This is called a ladder of aggression, and I think of it, for my purposes, more as a ladder of stress. And down here at the bottom are all the ways. So dogs are masters of conflict resolution. They don't want to fight. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get wound up and feel the need to, get ballistic about things. They are genetically programmed to solve problems with subtle behaviors rather than going for broke. But if it doesn't work, they go up the ladder. So behavior is contextual. So a dog that yawns, that blinks, that licks his nose, turns his head away, all this stuff down here, a happy dog can do that. A dog that's not going up this ladder at all can do it. So by themselves, they don't tell a huge story. But if a dog is yawning and blinking, Wulfie's scratching on his body would be down here or maybe up here. And he doesn't have the ability to improve his situation. Turning his head away breaks the sight line. Dogs that are looking right at each other, can be confrontational. And one of the languages of dogs is if they turn their head away, it conveys to another dog, I come in peace, I don't want to hassle. So it asks the dog to back off. So this bottom one is asking for a change. This one's asking for a change. Turning the body away, sitting, pawing, scratching. Those are all bigger body indicators. These are really subtle body pieces. This is a bigger body piece. This is a much bigger body piece. Dogs will leave if they can. They'll walk away. Creeping, moves slowly, ears back. We'll go back and look at Wulfie, but he's got his ears back when he's standing up on you. Standing crouched. I don't see that. I have to think about that a little more. But right here, stiffening up, stiffening and stare. He's got a tight body when he's got his feet all the way up on you. When I brought out this ladder, and we'd go back and take a look at it. But look where this is and what's next. So if you see a dog that stiffens or stares, you've just been told, if you don't do something, you're going to get the next thing. So in your situation where you're standing with the dog in front of you and you're out in the field and he's doing it, staying safe right here and not having it go farther is tricky, and it's triage. But if you think about these things, this graphic, and this is called a canine ladder of aggression. If you Google it, you'll find it all over the place, but I use it. This is in my mind all the time when I'm working with dogs here, especially dogs that I don't know. So as you observe his body language out when you're living with him, keep this in mind and try to figure out where he shows you the subtleties. And if you give him something when he shows you that, does he not need to go up the ladder? This is a tool in giving a dog what he's asking for before he has to shout at you. Dogs that bite for no reason are dogs that have learned that this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work. Growling sometimes works, but snapping or biting a person always works, and dogs do what works. So if a dog learns that all this is useless, but this really works, the next time they start here. They don't start at the bottom over and over because they've learned that it doesn't work. So having a dog go to a default bite or growl rather than giving some warning is a dog that's learned that it doesn't work. To warn. It's really common. Trying to find you. Is that it? That's it. I found us. Good deal. And you can see it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, it's sideways. Didn't know that it was.
Cell phones are lovely. And it's really hard to get these things to flip around. I am not figured out how to be good at that yet. Okay, so you've got him down on the ground and you have your hands on him and your hands are calm. You've got him faced away from you. That's really, really smart handling. You've got him to the side of you. That's also really smart handling. Your body is slow. I know your heart is beating fast, but your language to him is good. If that was me, I'd walk to somewhere I could take a wrap and tie him up, because he's not going to be okay here. And this is going to get scarier as he goes. He's faster here. He's making a lot more contact with you really rapidly. You don't even have time to think in between them. He's getting a little bit desperate, a little bit wound up, and he's definitely going way up that ladder. So you are a girl in trouble there, as I'm sure you know. Don't let me go past something that I really need to see. So you do a really nice job there of inviting him to get his brain back. You're down low, you're soft, you're speaking softly to him, you're not the least bit punitive, you're just giving him a chance to take a breath and come back. And all of his bouncing around is him saying, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. So if you give that option for the dog and they can't give it to you, you need to change the question. And in his case, where he has a history of being mouth all over you, somewhat dangerous with you sometimes, this is too little too late, because way back here, you needed to end it. You needed to either put him back or tie him to the fence and back away for 15, 20 minutes and come again, because this isn't gonna get better.
I don't think you can see it at this distance, but what I'm trying to do here is get his rope around the tree so I can walk away.
Good, smart move. That's exactly the right thing. I mean, it'd be nice if he hadn't gotten to this point, but I thought you were going to try to go down the road. If that's what you're doing there, then that's exactly what you should be doing. And you're facing him so that you can protect your body. Your hands are low. You're making yourself a little bit vulnerable, but it's helping him stay on the ground. It's helping him feel less ballistic with you. So you're doing exactly what you ought to be doing here. Thanks for, yeah, I can't tell that it's a tree. So don't let me go. You're a long way away and I can't tell what I'm speeding past.
If you kind of skip forward, I've got him around the tree, and then
okay. So
see
tell
that
me,
I go away for a bit. I go and get some food for the donkeys and the llamas that are over the fence. I come back and I feed them, and
so
then
don't let me go past it. Tell me when to stop.
I'm probably, yeah. No, I can't see because it's so blurred. I can't see.
So you're still gone. Okay.
Yeah.
Or go to where I think I can see you, and then you can tell me if we missed anything.
There we go.
Think you're there. Play. Okay, there you are. Where's he?
He's over on the other side
here.
of the room.
Okay, so I should play that back a bit. So you got him off the tree, so I want to see you get him off the tree. He's still on the tree, right?
Yep.
And are you close enough for him to touch you at that point?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
And so he's calmed down a bit
on the ground. Yeah, his feet's on the ground. He's got a nice low, slow tail wag instead of a super slow tail wag, which is a little worrisome. He's got his butt on the ground. So you have a dog's brain back. So the amount of time that you left him there shows us that that was a gift to him and to you. It's a smart choice. So you're moving around there and doing chores. You're being a working partner on the property, which is a wonderful way to teach a guardian dog to work, because you're showing him this is the fabric of our lives. We're out here doing chores. We're managing the property. You're managing it with me, but we both have a job to do. So it's great. I often make up jobs in front of puppies just so that they see me moving around, pick up a rake or something. So this is really helpful to him. It's really, really good training on your part, even if nobody thinks you're training a dog. I know you are. And he's telling you that because for once, oh my gosh, I gotta stop this. He left you and went to work. He's got his nose in a bush. He's using his brain. He's investigating. So that tells us a lot. It tells me that he knows how to work. It's the first I've seen, and I don't disbelieve you about what he does in the pasture. But out in this yard on a long line, in this departure from where he lives all the time, tying him up to the tree for long enough gave him the ability to have a brain and relax enough to engage in the environment. You're moving away and you're working. He doesn't need you socially the same way as we've seen other times because he's working. So good for you. This is Wonderful, wonderful training. He knows you're there and you're just not all that much fun, which is exactly as it should be. He's left you and gone out in front of you. Oh, Wulfie, wonderful job. I'm reassured to see it. All right, person, where did you go? Do you come back into camera?
I do come back and it all goes terribly wrong.
Oh, well, we got to watch that. Yep, you got a fast dog again. Oh, lovely. Look at that. Let's just eat you. Okay, so kind of obvious. I say that with hesitation because I don't actually know what I'm talking about because of the contextual part of it. But the fact that he lost it there, what if the next time when he was working like that, you then took him straight to his area, turned him loose, told him that he was wonderful and left, rather than giving him the opportunity to be out here longer and kind of fall apart?
How would I take him back to his area though without making that aversive?
Well, you wouldn't now, the next time. So if you're out with him for a little bit and he's been able to work and he's been able to be soft before he has a chance to do anything else, I would go back to where he lives and turn him loose. I would not go back somewhere else unless back somewhere else is heading to where he lives, in which case you can't avoid it. But he seems to have a window of time. He seems to either it's where he is and what he's doing, or with young dogs, it's very often that the first 5 minutes they fall apart and somewhere in the middle they start to lose it, but you have a sweet spot of time that's often very short. And so how long to do anything has to do with where I have a learning brain, as I think of it, a dog that's slow and mindful, not a dog whose needs are bigger than what I have to offer. So if you could have, in the future, if you could have ended on that wonderful note, put him back, give him a good cuddle, and then walk away, that would be better than where he's headed. But where he's headed, if you're already there, then we're talking damage control, which I get is what we're going to be looking at right now. So I always look at what happened, but then thinking back on it, where was the opportunity to do it differently the next time? Because that's the key of it. You know, I mean, behavior that happened, you already have. The consequence of how you react to it is what dictates his next behavior. But in a different training session, how can you set it up so that it doesn't ever get here? And he's tricky because he's on and he's off and he does it pretty quickly. You know, he doesn't look like a guy that's close to falling apart and then all of a sudden he is. So you got a complicated situation here, which is wonderful for me because it's the kind of thing that I love. So here we'll go. So tell me what you are doing here.
What I am doing is just trying to control his body so that I'm not getting really injured. And I don't know how else to do it, but I feel like I'm not doing myself any favors because I end up kind of putting my hands all over his head to keep his teeth away from other parts of my body, but then my hands are just always in his mouth.
Yeah. What would happen if you grabbed him like a suitcase with that harness?
He can just turn his head around and clamp on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
And he hates it. He really doesn't like it if I lift up his handle.
yeah. No, I wasn't talking about taking him off the ground. I was just trying to think if you could grab a different body part, is it far enough away to keep you from the bitey end of the dog? But you know, he's little and quick and agile. A bigger dog might not be able to turn all the way around and get you that way, but I can appreciate your point. When you're in a situation like that, you just have to get out.
Yeah.
You're not training anymore.
No.
You don't have a learning brain. The shorter the incident is, the better for retraining and going forward. And your safety is paramount. And the longer that he gets to fall apart and put his mouth on you, the more you have to train past the next time. So I don't see you doing anything that you shouldn't do, Jen. I mean, if you're in a bad situation, your job is to do it differently the next time and to get out of it as best you can at that time. If you were kicking him, if you were screaming at him, if you were beating him with the rope, if you were scaring him to get him off of you, those would all be things that would really hurt your relationship with this dog. He is not as inconvenienced by this as you are. So you're scared and you're worried and you could die here. And he's kind of being a happy dog. So as long as
He's
he sort of
actually having
stays
a
a
good
happy
time.
dog until you can stick him back where he goes, then the situation is not aversive to him. So you are avoiding, any kind of aversive situation that's going to work against you. You haven't really taught him anything good or necessarily anything all that bad. I mean, letting him repeat that isn't good for you, but this is not about perfection. And I get surprised by dogs all the time, especially dogs that come here that I don't know real well. I think I'm doing pretty well, and then something quickly unravels, and I know it looking backwards. I have to make the mistake in the first place. And so these videos are really helpful. And really the biggest thing for you is to learn to get really good at seeing the body language. You may not even necessarily understand all of it. It may be a matter of you holding up your phone and saying, what does this mean? I think if you look at some of that, especially if you play those videos slowly and look at his body and keep that canine ladder of aggression in your mind, that will help you. It's kind of a hierarchy, a subtlety that goes uphill. And as much as you can keep down in the subtleties, the better off everybody is, because he learns that being subtle does work. And he doesn't have to go all the way to the top. Have you seen Turid Rugas's book?
No.
Okay, you need it. I will send you to find it. Turid Rugas is Austria or someplace like that. She's an amazing woman. She has a really, really good read on body language. And she wrote a little book that has a lot of photos in it and a lot of her explaining what these dogs are trying to say. It's 79 pages. And I bet I've read it 50 times, because as I go forward and I see more dogs, I go back and I read it again to see, where it lines up. And this is a journey and it changes all the time, and it should. And her tiny little book, every dog owner ought to own it. Even livestock owners, because a lot of the language is common, but it's really quick. It's really palatable. She's really sweet. She uses stories to talk about it. And a lot of what I know about putting a name to why a dog does something comes from Turid's book, and then further study about that. I remember the first time I read it, I thought, whoa, those things have a name. And then I went out and I fed, 15 dogs or whatever. And everywhere I looked, they were doing it. That was what was in my head. Look at, they're doing it. That's that thing, and I come back in and I read about it some more. All this stuff is happening in front of you. You have a general read of it. It has to do with becoming more precise and catching the subtleties, farther and farther back. And with the dog as fast as him, that likes to talk with his mouth as he does, that's going to help keep you safe and out of those situations that shake your confidence in yourself. When you're in the middle of that bad situation there, I don't have any scolding to offer you. You were really fair. You were just trying to get out of it. You were respecting him like crazy, trying to love him even though he's about to eat you. Nobody could ask for anything more. You don't want to believe me, do you? I'm telling you the truth.
No, I'm just trying to think, well, if that's not where I need to change it, I need to be changing something key about when or before he's getting to the point where he's putting his ears back. I need to totally change what I'm doing somehow.
Yeah, and you'll see it in the video. Go play it back. And if you don't see it in that little one, go play the other one. Because what you're looking for is first indicators of stress. And he doesn't go as far in that first video as he does in this one, but the first indicators are there. So go find those and learn more about those.
How do I work out what he's stressed about?
Yeah, that's a bigger discussion. I think for our purposes with this video, we're going to end this.
Mhm.
And so stick around. I'm going to end the recording, but stick around. For those of you that watched all the way through to the end of this, I hope you had a good time with it. I sure had a good time talking about a dog. See you down the road.